What's up, everybody? Aloha. It's Mark Sawyer-Chu with Christian Surfers with the legend, none other than Casey Cruciano on the call. Casey, what's up, man? How you doing? Where you at?
Thanks much, Mark. Yeah, I'm here in Outer Banks, North Carolina, and enjoying maybe their first tropical depression of the season that's a little bit south of us. That's oddly early.
Does that mean there's waves coming for you?
We hope so. We've been in a great little run as well, all during this COVID situation. We've been one of the few areas in the U.S. that hasn't had any kind of surfing rules or anything. But yeah, it's been pretty good. I don't want to say that too much though, because I know there's a ton of people around the world who haven't been able to surf for a really long time, and so.
That's right, buddy. We'll try not to be too heavy. No, that is a blessing. Take that from the Lord and surf every day for the rest of us. So,
yeah.
Lesson learned, ladies and gentlemen. Either quarantine with Kelly Slater in Australia or with Casey Cruciano on the Outer Banks to make sure. Exactly. So you make sure. Well, we're stoked that you can still surf. You got to send us some photos on the barrels that you're scoring out there.
Yeah, we're getting a few. So yeah, I mean the area, Outer Banks is really known for that. Lots of like close to the beach, shore break kind of barrels, and so yeah, people who are here and live here for a reason.
That's awesome.
One of the reasons.
Well, if anyone in Christian Surfers deserves to surf during the global lockdown, it's you, buddy. Tell me a little bit about what and I kind of jumped the gun in the beginning, but. Tell me a little bit about why we're talking on the phone right now, why we're doing a podcast, why Christian Surfers is thinking about launching one.
Sure. Well, I work in the national office, international office, and we've been discussing for a while in the midst of all this content creation, getting it from all sides, at how many really cool stories there are in the ministry, and hearing stuff like. Brett Davis and the Christian Surfers Cronulla crew parking cars on the Sydney Opera House back in the early 80s, to Phil Williams and all his European van adventures that he's all around. So there's lots of cool stuff happening. There's people who have were married, then were divorced, and then got remarried through their interaction with Christian Surfers. It's just some cool stuff. And so we thought, hey, what if we try out a little series here of some of those cool stories and throw them in here? So unfortunately, you have me as your first guest. I have no cool stories, but I will be the lead-in or the gate so that more cool stories can be heard. That's
absolutely not true. And when people listen to this, they're going to find out about you guys. I think, Dos Equis had the world's most interesting man. CS has got the most interesting surfer, and it's this guy right here, Casey Cruciano. That's why you're the first on the CS podcast. I think we're calling it Talk Story, right? Is that what we're going to call it?
Talk Story.
Talk Story with double C. Now, Case, a lot of people don't know this, but I know this because I have seen you surf over the years. I remember the first time I met you in LA at the first Christian Surfers US gathering for me when I was just a volunteer with the CS South Bay chapter. And just seeing you absolutely rip at Portal, I think on one of my boards, which wasn't even the right board for you. And did you break that board? Do I remember that correctly? I know you were just. Did you? No, that didn't happen.
I have broken boards in Portal before. I don't think I've broken any of yours yet.
I would be honored if you broke mine.
It is the tale of the Christian Surfers musical chairs of surfboards, where everyone's borrowed everybody else's boards all around the world when we surf. It's one of the nice side benefits, just like the Christian Surfers couch tour that we're all on various times.
That's right. Sharing your quiver with your family, that's in the Bible somewhere. Well, Case, I remember seeing you just absolutely rip. And guys, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Casey is our Kelly Slater. And he's been on tour with us the longest. But Case, how'd you get involved with CS, and how long have you been involved at this point?
Well, I'm definitely going to show my age here, having recently turned 40. I've been with Christian Surfers for over half my life. So starting in 1999, I started attending things. This is in the Virginia Beach area, Christian Surfers, under Chandler Brownlee. So he was a local, Chandler Brownlee, who went on to be a national director, was a local chapter leader in Virginia Beach. And I started attending stuff. He had a very active, very fun chapter, doing lots of trips and things. I was a Christian, I was a believer at the time already, but just really saw quite quickly after attending how impactful it can be in young surfers' lives. And so yeah, that's where I got my start. I kind of attended / volunteered for a couple of years. Eventually became the chapter director there in Virginia Beach, and then meanwhile, Chandler and I had stayed in touch throughout that whole time. And when he became the national director in the early 2000s, and I was finishing up my college degree still in the Virginia Beach, Norfolk area. He invited me on to join the team on as a national staff member, and so I took the plunge. Got
What
married,
year was that?
And so this was in about 2004, 2005.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and so that was the same time. Dean Plumley and Chris Peck and Jason Menke, if any of those names are familiar, were all coming on staff all at the same time, kind of a new crop of people, all scattered throughout the world, and future national directors, and Chris is working for Cobian, and Jason's out in the Northwest, and yeah,
all legends there. You guys are basically the momentum generation of Christian surfers.
That's
and
right.
Somebody needs to make a documentary about you guys.
Yeah, and we were all like the momentum generation, riding too small of surfboards in 2005 compared to what we're all riding these big boaty things now.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you guys don't know, Casey can surf anything, and so just make sure you bring a camera to the next Christian Surfers Conference and watch Casey surf. I definitely would pay to see that. Case, tell me about your pro surfing career when you were younger.
Well, yeah, never pro, never got to that level. But I did. I got involved in contests kind of a little bit late, but then started doing them and really enjoyed just the whole contest scene. It's fun. If you haven't ever done a contest before, it's good just to not only to just connect with the other surfers and get to know people on the beach and stuff, but just to test yourself as well. And so eventually, after doing a bunch of those and also working some contests. So I was putting on I was competing in some, I was putting on some contests for Christian surfers and helping out with other organizations. I actually got invited out to California to help out with a big U.S. amateur thing. And when I got there, I found out that I qualified for it as well through some other contests I had surfed. And so I paid the registration fee and got in there, and it turns out I won it. So it was the United States Surfing Federation. I can't remember the title of all these things, but it was way back in 2003, and ended up winning the amateur men's division there, which was it was a real surprise. And we had great waves the entire event, and it was the biggest contest by far I'd ever won before or since. And so that's my little claim to fame.
I love it.
That's
when you took out.
It's 17 years ago.
Right. That's when you took out Slater, Martin Potter, and Barton Lynch, right? In the finals.
Yeah, the dream team was all in that final.
That's awesome, Case. Well, not only are you the best surfer in Christian Surfers, but you are also probably one of the smartest. Tell me a little bit about where you went to school, what you guys studied, and how that kind of worked into what you're doing now for the ministry in God's kingdom.
Yeah, I'll tell you that. Let me just back up one stage because I forgot to just say the rest of my point about that contest. So one thing, it was cool to win and all that stuff. But what was really neat is after I came back, the local media wanted to interview me, and it really was a great way to just be able to share the gospel. Interviewed by the paper a couple of times, and we used it in Christian Surfer stuff and some photos and things like that. And so it was cool. It just gave you a little opportunity there. And so I guess an encouragement to the podcast world out there is, when you get those little opportunities, go for them and don't be shy.
That's right.
And even if I'm not, but your next question was just about schooling and how that all worked out. So yeah, I told you a little bit about Chandler and how he became the national director. So when I was in Virginia Beach still and volunteering with the chapter there and leading the chapter, I was also finishing up a degree in finance and accounting at Old Dominion University in Virginia. And at the time, Christian Surfers U.S. was in search of someone to do their accounting, bookkeeping, and kind of the business management side. And so it was a real perfect fit at the time for me to just hop on board with the U.S. And it was really, so many things were happening at that time. I think there was like 45 chapters, and just tons of activity, raising money for, there's like $50,000 raised for Bibles. I remember that first year, a new printing of the Surfer's Bible, first one, like a U.S. type version after the Australian version had come out.
Yep.
And it was a really super exciting time to have joined the team.
That's awesome, Case. Well, I know, and I speak on behalf of everybody that knows you in this ministry, we are so blessed to have you both in the U.S. and on the international level. We would have been out of business a long time ago if it weren't for you. We would have blown all our money on surf wax, but you've helped us manage it well and be a good steward of it, which Jesus speaks a lot about in the Bible with his parables. You mentioned somewhere earlier in the podcast in your journey with CS that you got married at that point. Tell us a little bit about your family, who they are, and what your wife's doing right now.
Yeah. I got, at the same time I was fundraising and moving to Florida to join the national team. I got married kind of in the midst of all that stuff, so a bunch of big life change things all happening at once. And so I got married January 1st, 2005, which just to tell you, anybody out there, January, those dates like that are really good because you will not forget your anniversary. So
definitely not important not to forget your anniversary. You're a good husband, Casey.
Yes. Yeah. And so, my wife and I, our story goes way back beyond, and before that, we went to the same college together, but, and kind of met up through college times. But we had gone to the same elementary school together as well. And so we were not dating at the time. It wasn't like we haven't been dating for 30, 40 years or anything. But she was one of my sister's really good friends. And they kept in touch a little bit, but this is pre-Facebook, so it's like when you don't see each other, for a while, people just kind of move apart naturally.
Right.
But they kept in a little bit of touch, and my wife and I got kind of reintroduced to each other in college and dated for about 2 years before getting married, and now we have 2 children, Ezra, who is 12 years old, and Karis, who is 9.
That's right.
They're both little surfers. Ezra a little more than Karis is, but I'm still trying to convince her. I have to, with all them with surfing, I have to resort to bribery for my children to get them out the door sometimes. And the cold water in the Outer Banks throughout most of the year does not help.
I've hung out with your kids. They're pretty awesome. They're the Jackson Dorian of CS. And your Jen is amazing. You guys are like a powerhouse couple. For anyone that knows you guys, and I hope people get to know you especially more through this podcast. What's Jen doing with CS right now? She's got a little cool thing going on with Groundswell, doesn't she?
Yes, and so she has several times kind of in the past. So with the U.S., to back up a little bit, in the U.S. she had run the online store for about 6 or 7 years, and just really enjoyed that, bringing a bunch of various different products in and kind of testing out what sold and what didn't. It's fun.
That's right. She was the Amazon before Amazon.
Yeah, that's right. Should have picked up that stock, but we with Groundswell Aid, there's so many cool things being made in these projects all around the world, but they have a limited distribution network essentially. And so we said, hey, what if we can get these products over to the U.S. and get them sold here in a U.S. Marketplace? And so Jennifer's with Roy and a bunch of other team members have been engineering that. And so that site's live. You can go to the Groundswell Aid website and then click on shop and then get some products that were handmade in various different places around the world, Mauritius and some places in South Africa and El Salvador. And I think we're going to get some things from Indonesia in the near future. And so, pretty exciting stuff there, and looking forward to You know, we're essentially what we're doing though. And an important part about all this is that we're employing people,
Right.
you know, overseas who are directly connected with these projects.
Yeah, such a cool initiative from Christian surfers. Is it just, if people want to find out more info about a case, is it just groundsoilaid.org?
Yep, that's it.
That's right. Yeah, and if it's anything like back in the day when I was trying to be your #1 customer and ordering stuff all the time from the East Coast to LA when I was in CS South Bay, you guys, you'll get all your orders on time, perfect shipping, perfect customer service, 5 stars across the board. So guys, make sure you go buy some cool gear from around the world from Ground Soil Aid. Casey, you've been to a lot of countries in CS because you've been on tour with us a long time. Can you tell me like your favorite country or like the gnarliest mission trip you've ever been on?
Yeah, you know, it's been really neat to see. Like, I never thought as a 16-year-old or 18-year-old surfer that, you know, I'd have a job that really took me around the world to so many rad places, and like I got to be there. So, you know, just a year or two ago, I'm in France surfing, you know, really fun heavy beach breaks, and you know, the ministry got me there, and I'm, you know, you're working on this conference and that kind of stuff. But yeah, mission trips wise, I just recently, I don't know if it's gnarly, but I just recently came back from the Dominican Republic with Christian Surfers US, which is a lot of fun. So that was in February. It was just before all of this coronavirus thing kicked off. We all got texts while we were there.
Crazy.
That were the first batch of people were getting screened and tested and all that stuff in early February. But only people coming from China at that point in time.
So you didn't get quarantined in the DR?
No, we didn't. But it does have my wheels turning about what was happening in major airports at that point in time. You know, You know, was that in the airports we were in? We were in these major U.S. airports, and yeah, who knows? I think a lot of that stuff that will be told at a later stage. But we're not here to talk about coronavirus. We're here to talk about mission trips.
That's right.
And, yeah. I think one of the gnarliest ones I was on a missions trip with my church as a youth leader, and it was in Brazil, and just for the length of time. So we had gotten up early in the morning, flown I think from our Norfolk airport to New York or somewhere up north, and then kind of spent the whole day in the airport there waiting for our next flight, and then we took a flight from somewhere in the Northeast down to Sao Paulo, like the overnighter, which isn't so bad. But then when we got there, you know, you're waiting around the airports with 50 other people for hours for your buses to show up and loading up and things like that. And then we had a 12-hour bus ride, basically an all-day bus ride to the place we were going to go to. So at this stage, we're at like 36, 40 hours-ish by the time we had gotten up at first for the second day. And I remember that when we got there, the people, it was at an orphanage, and the people were so excited that we were there, they wanted to do a whole church service that night. And everybody, well, at least I don't know, speak for everybody, but I was just dragging so much because you've been up for such a long period of time. But meanwhile, all these kids, all these little 5-year-olds and 8-year-olds are so excited and wanting to talk with you and sing with you and stuff like that. And I just wanted to go to bed. And so not so gnarly, but it's a memorable one. I can still remember that feeling of like wanting to kind of push through it, but not being able to.
All good. I'm sure you did amazing, Case, and you made a huge impact. I got to get on a missions trip with you one day because I knew it'd be absolute legend status with you, and be one of the best mission trips that I'd be on. Let's see. I lost my place here. I hope you edit this out. Tell me about.
Well,
Go ahead.
We have a really good video editor, and so he'll be able to just piece this all together in a beautiful package.
That's right. Watch out,
a fellow
WSL.
named Grant Clegg from Jeffreys Bay, who has been doing a lot of the Christian Surfer stuff for a couple of years here now, and really does an excellent job. We keep on trying to get him to come on staff, but we're still working towards that.
We'll keep praying for him to come on staff. And I met him on the last trip to J-Bay. This is before I think you moved back to the States, and he's a pretty awesome guy. I think he's a personal filmer as well, right? For Matt McGilvery or some pro surfers out at J-Bay. Is that right?
Yeah, so like Matt has used him in the past, and I think some of the other pro surfers there, connected with him, and yeah, he does excellent work, and we're real lucky to have him.
Yeah, Grant. So when you watch this, this is a sign from the Lord to come on staff. No, just kidding. Just keep praying about it. And
yeah, can we put his website up, right?
That's right. Feel free to plug your website. Thanks for all that you do, and thanks for making Casey and I look like perfect speakers. And like we've been doing podcasts for 10 years. Okay, speaking of mission trips, there's one of my favorite ones, and it's interesting because I don't think I know there have been a bunch of years where like we actually just missed each other, and it's Surf Expo, which is an amazing event and an awesome trade show out of Orlando, Florida. And I know there were some years where you and I literally just traded the same name tag, which is awesome because you definitely look Asian. But Surf Expo, tell me your funniest story from Surf Expo.
Oh, Surf Expo, yeah, that's got to be one of them. There is you passing off your badge to me, and nobody calling us out on that one. But yeah, Surf Expo is always funny. So that started. It was kind of neat how that started, where some people had been to Expo, and you're sitting there with your booth with the Christian surfers paraphernalia out, and there really isn't. They put you in kind of a corner of Expo that isn't really populated, and so you don't get you get a few people you talk to, but it's not as one-on-one as you envision, or as it doesn't flow as much as you envision. And then one of the years, somebody realized that there was some needs when you tear down the booths for people, that you have all these, especially the mom and pop, some of these smaller companies just don't have the resources to be able to pay somebody a few $1,000s to tear down the booth. And so they're doing it, and they're doing it late into the night.
Right.
And so, yes. And so it's just a really cool way that the U.S. office, or the U.S. has kind of seen a need and met a need there. And so they're getting a mission trip team there each time for expos, and the boardroom. If the boardrooms are still going on, I'm not sure, but they it's just a way that I think we all need to be thinking about in all of our lives, right? As if you're at your local beach and you're at a contest, you're at the surf movie premiere thing. It's like, hey, can you maybe think about helping out, what's already going on rather than starting your own thing.
Totally. Yeah, we love Scott Bass with the boardroom. I think the show's normally in May, would have probably happened last weekend or the weekend before, but I think it's postponed by a few months, so we could be praying for him. We love Roy Turner and the whole crew, Ohana from Surf Expo. What a great opportunity to serve. Definitely one of my favorite mission trips that happens normally twice a year. I know the hurricane kind of affected some of the years, and now obviously with COVID-19, but we got to keep those guys in our prayers. Case, I know we're kind of running out of time here and wrapping up, so I think we're going to go into the CS lightning round with you. And
here we go.
I came up with a few questions last night, and we can sign off with this. But worst burn in CS. Who have you been dropped in on the worst by?
So we
feel free to mention names.
Yeah. Oh, I'm gonna say technically it wasn't me, but when we had our last leadership meetings, Brett Davis was on every single wave. Do you remember that highlight video? And this is one that Grant shot, and like every third wave was Beatty looking over his shoulder and then going. But I didn't get burned.
When you're a founding advisor, I guess really you get away with it.
You just go for it. Yeah, for sure.
No one's gonna get mad at Brett Davis for we're all gonna be honored that Brett Davis burns us. It's like getting dropped in on. He's earned it by. Yeah.
he's just making up for that dry July those couple of years in a row.
Exactly. BD, if you're watching this, we love you. Feel free to drop in on me and Casey anytime. So, Casey first. Nice, Case. Good answer. Single fin, thruster, twin, or bonzer?
Oh, I got twin fin all the way there.
Really?
Yeah, I ride twin fins more than anything.
That's awesome. You're keeping that's why you're so stylish. You've got the twin fin flow. I think a lot of shortboard thruster CS guys and gals watching this are going to switch to the Twinsy afterwards, and take some notes from Casey there. FCS or futures?
Futures.
Okay. Favorite wave in the world?
My answer might be different as to why. So there's a product out there that you can convert your FCS fins into the future box, and so then whatever set you use can be used in the future box.
If you have an FCS setup, you can use both.
So if you've got the future box,
yep,
you can plug an FCS fin into an adapter, and so basically you have double the fins now. If you have futures, then you can use your FCS fins as long as they're not the newer style.
That's pretty cool. What's that called? I've never heard that.
It's called Wasabi Surf. I'm doing an ad now.
There you go.
Ad revenue here.
That's it. We'll get some affiliate marketing. We'll get you sponsored by Wasabi, and we'll get them to sponsor.
Your travel bag can be a little lighter with one set of fins when you go.
Nice. Well, that's a pretty useful accessory. So, Wasabi, if you're watching this, feel free to sponsor the next episode by sending Casey some more product. And that's a good question. Next time I'm going to ask you between futures and FCS why. But now I know. Favorite wave in the world? Because you live in a lot of amazing places.
So we didn't even get into this, but I got to live in Jeffreys Bay, serving with Christian Surfers International for a couple of years, and I really love there. Like the main wave supers is where everybody surfs all the time, but I have more memorable sessions from and any other. I probably shouldn't even say the name because people are kind of
we'll edit it out.
But I don't know.
Secret spot in the continent of Africa.
Some secret spot at the end. Yep.
Right there at the tip.
Yeah, J-Bay is really hard to beat, and having moved back here now, it really is. The waves that I skipped out on surfing there are, I wish I could get them back for sure.
Awesome, Case. Well, I've been blessed to have some memorable sessions with you out there, seeing you just absolutely rip. And so if you guys are watching this, make sure you book Casey in for some surf coaching. Last question, or two more. Barrels or airs?
Oh, neither? Can I say neither?
Well, we'll go with straight or go manhacks.
Yeah, I want to go straight to the beach. No, my dream wave. I'm not like a big wave guy or anything like that. So I'm not like my dreamy kind of wave to go on a surf trip with is like a good big day, that medium-sized day at Trestles, I would say. So just lots of open face and speed and so. Yeah,
I'm gonna change it up after we redo this. Barrels, airs, and turns. You're good at all of them, Casey. You've got the whole repertoire. You're the X Factor. Last question for you. Favorite CS baby?
I think that has to be Luana.
Oh my gosh. That's a great answer.
Is she here?
Luana.
Is she around?
Is Luana here?
Can we get her on video?
Can we get her on video? Oh, she's asleep. She's asleep. She's dreaming of surfing with Uncle Casey. Well, Case, thank you so much for your time. Sorry I botched all your questions, but you're still the most interesting surfer in CS in my book. Is there anything else that listeners need to know about us before we sign off? And how do they stay in touch with us? How do they follow us?
Yeah, I don't know, man. We're all out there. You just got to follow us. It's pretty easy to do. It's pretty easy to get involved.
That's right.
Pretty low barriers to entry for Christian surfers. Just show up.
That's it. And follow Jesus together.
We do have a thing. If you don't have Christian surfers in your area, there's a thing called foundations training that kind of gets you aligned with what our mission and vision is and core values, just to get started. Yeah.
Awesome, Case. And I know people can check us out at christiansurfers.net and Christian Surfers on Instagram and Facebook. Thanks so much for tuning in, guys. Thank you for your grace, for listening. Hope you guys are inspired by some of Casey's stories, and hope you have the chance to get to know this amazing man and brother in Christ at our next conference for 2021. We've postponed the Olympics, haven't we, Case?
Yeah. So we'll be
Awesome.
in San Diego in September 2021.
That's right. Well,
We hope.
Casey and I,
Like,
we hope, we
nobody
pray.
knows. We hope.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be crazy by then if we're still in our house. But Casey and I would love to see you guys there. God bless you guys. Aloha. Be safe and healthy out there. And keep your eyes on Jesus. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Case. God bless you, buddy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.